back with comedian David Boyle, and I'm quitting alcohol. So if you're a member of the Patreon and you've been watching the Patreon potty, I mentioned on it that I may start a new segment where I interview or just have a chat with the Degenies, the Patreon Degenies, the loyalists, the Boyle loyalists. I kind of like the idea. I just didn't like the idea of the extra work, but I think it could be a cool thing. So yesterday, I released my newsletter, which you all should be reading. It's my first foray into legitimate writer. It's my pivot from comedian to fucking author. You know what I mean? From a fucking clown to a pseudo-intellectual. The pivot has begun. I am actually proud of it so far. So if you're not reading it, can you go read it and fucking subscribe to it? Anyway, in yesterday's newsletter, at the bottom of it, I just gave a little prompt. A little bit of fucking interaction with the people who are reading. So down the bottom after the article, I just said, what kind of family are you from and what consequences of alcohol have you witnessed within it? Just respond to this email. I might publish them anonymously if I think we can all learn something. So I woke up this morning and I had a bunch of people reply to it and just give me a little basic rundown of their life, their relationship with alcohol, their family and all that sort of shit. The article was about this girl that I knew when we were growing up. She's going into rehab for the 7th time. And I would never have picked her to become an alcoholic. Like, she was gorgeous, she was cool, she was funny, good family, all that sort of shit. She wasn't like a scumbag like the people I hung around with. She was a good friend of one of my good friends, so that's how I knew her. But she was like in a different world. She wasn't scum. So the article is basically just saying fucking no one's exempt from alcoholism. And so I'm reading these replies today and it's just so fucking interesting. Just people from different walks of life, their experience. Like, everyone has a crazy fucking story. Especially, I think, if you become a fucking alco. It sort of comes with the territory to have a crazy story and be a drinker. So I was reading these replies and they were sort of like blowing me away. So I was like, this is probably worth people hearing. It's probably going to be more beneficial for me to do the interviews with the degenerates than it would be some other bullshit. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down that path. I'll go down the interviewing the degenerates. I'll call it some bullshit, but it's going to be on Patreon. I've just got no time left to do free shit. So this will be on Patreon. And if you can't afford it, then fucking you're not getting interviewed and you're not watching the interviews. That's all there is to it. All my free time is now accounted for. Anything extra is just fucking, I have to be making money. So I would like to get a little bit of feedback from you, see if this is something you would be interested in. For those of you who may want to be interviewed, I'd like to hear from you. I would just like to get the general vibe of what you think about this. So just email me if you can manage that. Just email me, boylecomedy@gmail.com, and let me know what you think. Those of you who are already on the Patreon, just send me a message on the Patreon. This will be Patreon only. I don't mind if it's just a small audience. That's probably better for something like this anyway. So I will be over the next couple of weeks figuring out what the fuck I'm going to do with this. But I'm kind of excited, and that's a pretty good indication that you're heading in the right direction. Anyway, that will fucking do it for today. If you're enjoying the podcast, give it a share around. Find my newsletter. Subscribe to my newsletter, please. And go and read this week's newsletter and then follow the prompt at the bottom. You'll see. Do it. Just look up I'm Quitting Alcohol fucking Substack. There's also links on Instagram. You'll find it. Anyway, that'll do it, and I'll see you the fuck later.